This is Claire Petrie, Talent Acquisition Manager for Remedy Intelligence Staffing, and I'm next on the RecTech podcast.
Welcome to RecTech, the podcast where recruiting and technology intersect. Each month, you'll hear from vendors shaping the recruiting world, along with recruiters who'll tell you how they use technology to hire talent. Now, here's your host, the mad scientist of online recruiting, Chris Russell.
This is RecTech, the only podcast that helps employers and recruiters connect with more candidates through technology and inspire conversations. The world of digital recruiting is evolving rapidly, and our mission is to teach you about the new tools, techniques, and tactics for finding today's talent. This show is a recruiter edition. The RecTech podcast is sponsored by our friends at HireTool, the recruiter's best friend. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what real recruiters say about their product. Emily Duran writes on Facebook, I get amazing results with the latest version. The AI search is the best tool out there. It's also easy to get more info, sort, and contact my candidates. Rajiv Ryan says also, the AI sourcing in the latest version is just awesome. It's user-friendly and adds new profiles to projects, certainly useful for sourcing talent in the U.S. Find them over on the web at hiretool.com and tell them RecTech sent you. All right, let's bring on our guest. Claire is the Talent Acquisition Manager in the Buffalo, New York office for one of the largest specialty staffing firms in North America, Remedy Intelligence Staffing. She's built over 6 years a diverse HR management experience with privately owned and publicly traded companies that provide hospitality, food service management, medical device development, and non-dairy frozen food production. Interesting. Claire holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a concentration in HR from the University of Buffalo and an MBA from Niagara University. Yeah, she's a member of SHRM, the Buffalo-Niagara HR Association, and she's on the DisruptHR Buffalo Event Planning Committee, one of my favorite organizations, DisruptHR. Claire, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here.
Nice. So when's the next DisruptHR Buffalo?
It is this October. I believe it's Tuesday, the 16th.
Nice. I love attending those events. They're a lot of fun. I go to the ones in New York a lot, and it's a great organization.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're just starting going over all of our speakers' presentations and things like that. So I'm on the ops committee, so I help more with finding the location and the food and parking logistics, things like that. So it's definitely fun.
Yeah. All right. So what's new and exciting in your world? Tell me more about what you recruit for, what it's like there at Remedy, and give us kind of a brief rundown of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Remedy Intelligence Staffing is a franchise of EmployBridge. So EmployBridge is that large specialty staffing firm that you mentioned in my bio. So what's cool is that there's so many Remedies across the country, but since they're all franchised, we're all run very differently. They have different owners, so it's kind of cool. So what's new and exciting at our Remedy here in Buffalo, so my role with Remedy in Buffalo has only existed for the past year or so. So talent acquisition managers were part of our franchise in the Rochester and Syracuse markets, and they did very well. So essentially we're doing the high-level permanent placements for our manufacturing and logistics clients, and they were doing so well, they wanted to bring that role to Buffalo. So it's existed for a little over a year. I've been with the organization about 5 months. And our main focus of our business is on that temp and temp to perm work, but we have really been expanding our offerings, and they brought me in to help grow that part of the perm business and show that we can add value to the Buffalo market and sourcing those harder to fill candidates. So that's just been exciting, helping to grow that in Buffalo, get our name out there, so that's something that we offer. So that's been going really well. And then I also just started working on our social media initiatives and new tools and systems that will support our perm business better.
Okay, we'll get into that. I'm curious.
Yeah,
first,
for sure.
I'm curious. What's it like recruiting in Buffalo? Number one, is it kind of a lot of manufacturing jobs? It sounds like, or kind of blue collar stuff. Tell me more about the types of jobs that are out there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Buffalo is typically known as a healthcare, banking, or manufacturing city. That's typically where most of the jobs are. So Remedy is an agency. We focus on manufacturing and logistics clients. We do have a couple large clients that have presences across the country and the world, but we kind of specialize more in the small to medium-sized businesses that might not have their own recruitment or HR as part of the company. So they reach out to us to assist with their recruiting needs. So in terms of challenges recruiting people into Buffalo, it's hard to recruit for some of those larger manufacturing clients that are kind of more well-known because they're a little more advanced in their processes and kind of types of automated machinery than like our smaller clients who are based in Buffalo. So there aren't many of those larger companies in Buffalo to pull from, so I always have to look outside the area to fill those needs. So it's tough recruiting people to Buffalo who have never been here, but I can convey it pretty well how awesome it is because I'm born and raised, but it's still tough if you haven't seen it. So we've had great success sourcing candidates who went to school in Buffalo or Rochester or who once were from the area and may have an interest in moving back. So that's kind of where we've had to focus for some of those larger, more advanced companies that we don't have the talent for nearby.
Yeah. I only know Buffalo of the videos I see on TV. And I remember one from a couple of years ago where you might remember this. It was in the news. It was like a giant snowstorm coming off the lake, whatever. And like there was one part of the street, there was no snow on it. And the other side of the street had like, I don't know, 5 feet or something. It was crazy. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yep, I do. The line was like right through the city of Buffalo. It was so weird. Like south of Genesee Street, was like multiple feet. And I was in North Buffalo, and we had a couple inches. It was really strange.
That's crazy.
Fun times.
Yep. All right. So one other thing I want to ask you about too was this term that's getting a lot of gossip lately is ghosting in recruiting. Have you heard it, and is it happening to you guys?
Yeah, so I've heard of it. Personally, I feel like it doesn't faze me that much. Like, I understand it's a candidate-driven market right now, at least in Buffalo, for the roles that we're filling. But personally, I try to kind of differentiate myself from other local agencies as being really relationship focused. So personally, I haven't really been ghosted many times, maybe a few times. But my candidates know me pretty well and will at least shoot me an email saying, like, I'm not going to that interview. I found something better, things along those lines. So I think it's definitely happening because candidates can go elsewhere for 50 cents more an hour, and they'll do that without telling you. Yeah. But I try to keep it really focused on being a partner to them and helping them, and usually it helps that I'll at least get a heads up. But, yeah, it's definitely going on.
Gotcha. So with the Remedy Buffalo office, is that a kind of an independent like franchise, or are you part of is it owned by one company, so it's centralized?
So each Remedy is its own franchise.
Gotcha. Okay.
So our owner has owned the company for our Remedy franchise for a little over 20 years.
Now, does that mean
and our friend?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, does that mean that so as far as the franchise goes, do they support you with different technologies and tools and things like that, or is it up to you to kind of build your own HR tech stack out and things like that?
That's a great question. So, yes, having the backing of EmployBridge is great for things like IT and legal support and things like that, for sure, and our systems. A lot of our franchises and corporate offices use Microsoft Dynamics CRM, so we can talk about that in a little bit. But, yes, they help us with those types of things. It's just great, though, from, like, an HR standpoint and like internal Remedy colleagues, like for example, I'm taking over social media. Like we can do social media for our franchise however we want. Yep. Incentives and different things that we do for our employees, things like that. So it's good we have some really good backing where we need it, and then have some flexibility to really make us kind of our own culture. Okay.
Does that mean they give you is there one ATS across the entire franchise, or is that also something up to your discretion?
That's a good question. I'm honestly not quite sure. It's something I should probably look into more. But in the time I've been here, for the past few months, I know that all of our offices in our franchise, so we span actually from Erie, PA to Syracuse. Okay. So we have 13 offices, Erie, PA, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse areas. So they all use Microsoft Dynamics CRM for those temp and temp to perm needs. But part of my role as well for expanding those permanent offerings has been looking into how to make that better for this process, because obviously our perm candidates, we don't have to worry about payroll and workers' comp and things like that for them. So the process, the application and questionnaire process and things should be different. So we are just looking at how we can change things up and be able to work better with those higher level candidates.
So you share candidates among all those different offices, those 13 different offices?
Yeah.
In terms of, the database and stuff?
So we all use CRM right now, and we do kind of overlap sometimes too. I mean, Rochester and Syracuse are only a couple hours away, and I also support some perm needs in our Erie branch as well.
Okay. So when it comes to like your job postings, though, where do those live? How do you talk more about what's tech behind that stuff in terms of your online recruiting efforts?
Yeah, so we post our positions through the CRM platform, and they go out through Indeed and ZipRecruiter and things like that. So again, for the temp and temp to perm stuff, I think that's a little bit more beneficial. But typically what our TA team does is we're posting things more independently on LinkedIn and just doing a ton more passive sourcing. So I have gotten a couple of candidates since I've been here from applying online, but we typically don't use the system right now for that. It's more so passive efforts.
Gotcha. Okay. I wasn't aware that Microsoft, what'd you call it, Microsoft Dynamics CRM? It's not an ATS that I was that familiar with. So is more of a CRM than an ATS. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So it definitely seems to be like it's built for consulting, like staffing type firms where you have to do billing through it, and you have different companies, obviously, that your roles are for. So it just has a lot more of that other. I got you. So it's more like an HRIS system, but specifically for like a staffing firm. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's all super new for me. I've always been in-house HR and corporate talent acquisition for the last 6 years. So it's been interesting coming over to the agency side and learning more about the software and how things work.
Why did you make that move? What was the emphasis behind that?
Yeah, so it was honestly my boss. So I never really pictured working in third-party recruiting, but I met my boss at a Women in Leadership seminar hosted by Remedy about a year ago, and I just got to know her really well throughout all the sessions, and they ended up having an opening. And at the time, I was in more of a generalist role, and recruitment, especially in manufacturing, is my strength, and I was doing a lot of employee relations and things at the time. So it just seemed like a good time for me. I really wanted to get back to what I wanted to do, and she kind of gave me all the information and tools about Remedy and what it's like, and I guess my perceptions of it were different. Obviously, working in-house when you're you have agencies, quote, running rogue, all your hiring managers, and you're corralling that and whatever, you kind of have a different perspective than once you're actually working in it. It is actually really cool, and I do enjoy it. Yeah.
How do you sell the role of being the fact that you're not embedded in the company, but you have to convince the candidate to, really, take your phone call and, get them interested in it? I mean, what types of things do you do with you and your recruiters to help really sell that job?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really strive to be an extension of our clients' brands in the marketplace, really. So we have good relationships with a lot of our clients that will only use us for their perm placements. So we just really make sure we take the time to go on site. We do a facility tour. We do an intake meeting. We're not just going to throw resumes and see what sticks. We're very particular on who we send, and everyone's vetted. So we really know a lot about the company. So even though we don't disclose it initially when we're reaching out, once we have them on the phone and we're having a conversation, it's pretty easy to convey what our clients have going on and, why it would be a good fit for the candidate and things like that. So it usually hasn't been much of a struggle in that aspect.
What else are you using there for technology? Anything for texting or any other types of recruiting software involved?
Yeah, so we do. I know the system. It's either through CRM or some extension of it that we do have a texting program. Again, we usually use that more for our temps for their orientation information, reminders, and things like that. But that system's pretty cool. For me personally, I did just discover HireTool a few months ago, so I think I have a lot more to learn about it, but it's been helpful so far. But I'm in the roles that I'm doing, which are typically a lot of mechanics, machinists, engineers, and production supervisor and management type roles. Passive on Indeed and LinkedIn and just networking in the area has been best so far. So in terms of software, we don't have a ton right now, but one of the reasons why I also love your show, I'm learning a lot about what's out there and what might be beneficial for us in the future. So I know there's a lot of options, which is great.
Oh, there's more than you can imagine, Claire. You could spend all day looking at them. There's so many. It's the golden age of HR tech, as I say. Let's take a quick break so I can tell you about our other sponsor today, audience, which is Rejobify. Rejobify wants to change the way employers reject candidates, a little bit different. Instead of simply rejecting them outright, just add a small amount of text to your rejection email template, inviting them to a landing page where they can sign up for a free job search hacks course and gain access to other resume tools and offers, kind of like outplacement for the rejected. So go to rejobify.com, rejobify.com, and check it out. So Claire, tell me some sourcing stories. One or two where you got kind of creative in finding a person online or otherwise. What comes to mind over the years?
Oh, okay. A few of my favorites. Again, I don't know if this is really creative, but I try to, again, keep everything so relationship-based. So I actually had a cool story recently, was doing some passive sourcing on LinkedIn for an IT delivery manager type role, and I had a great conversation with one gentleman. It wasn't exactly what he was looking for, but he referred me to a friend of his who didn't have a LinkedIn profile, and I didn't find otherwise in any of my searches, who was looking, and this person got an interview. So it wasn't ultimately the person that got hired, but still I consider a huge success because there are still a lot of people out there that are hard to find. So I just try to keep my conversations with people really focused on them, what they need and want. I think agency recruiters get a bad rap, and I've gotten this feedback from candidates, like saying like, oh, thanks so much for taking the time to get to know me. Usually the recruiters I've worked with in the past are really salesy or pushy and things like that. I think it's easy to get a bad rap. So I try to lead with the approach of what they need and what they're looking for, and it's helped me gain more candidates that they've sent me that I hadn't found. So that's been really cool. And another favorite story, which I kind of touched on earlier, but just when looking for people out of state who have some connection to Buffalo and may want to come back, I just find it so fun to reach out to them and catch their attention by talking about the city or the Bills or the Sabres or their alma mater, things like that. Really, they usually just love chatting about it, even if they're going down memory lane for a few minutes and don't end up being interested in the job. It's just so much fun. We have had quite a few successes with that so far this year, and then seeing them in action in their new position here is so rewarding. And we do have a lot of exciting things going on in Buffalo right now. So I love having people come back to actually see that.
That type of search, like looking for a past city like that, you're just simply doing a simple keyword search for Buffalo on LinkedIn and looking for these people. Tell me a little bit more about actually the search you're doing there.
Yeah, so I'll use some Boolean logic, but typically I'm looking for specific schools or some of those larger companies in the area that sometimes promote people out of the area to their other locations, and then they kind of do whatever from there. Yeah. So looking at those companies and just any mutual connections and things like that too. So if they know somebody here, I'll kind of reach out and say, oh, I saw you were a friend of so-and-so. How do you know that? Maybe find something else about them that wasn't on their profile. So yeah, just trying to pull all those different avenues.
Do you kind of track your open rates as far as your LinkedIn messages go and things like that? I was curious if you stay on top of that, or is that too hard to do, being that you're so busy?
So I do like to check those out. I actually have some clients, I actually kind of like when they ask this, but if they just have questions on what I'm doing, what my efforts have been, things like that, I love pulling information from LinkedIn to show them how many messages I sent, what the response rate's been. My response rate on LinkedIn messages is typically around 60%, which I'm pretty proud of. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. I obviously try to keep things really personalized. Yeah, so I do get a lot of responses, which is good, even if it's just, I don't know about this role, and then I can convince them to still have some sort of networking call and keep them in mind for the future and things like that. So yeah, just trying to always find something in common and mention that with whatever messages I'm sending. But luckily we have a great LinkedIn account rep too, who's showing us how much more there is to what we have than what we're actually using.
Gotcha. Nice. Do you remember any creative subject line or message you may have tried in the past that worked?
Creative subject line. Sometimes I like to ask people questions in terms of getting creative in the message. I've noticed with IT people, they really like this, but I like to ask a question like, where was it that you really honed your skills, or how did you get into this great experience with this company? How did you get these promotions? And they really like to go into that detail on how they've kind of risen through the ranks and their professional development and everything. So sometimes just asking a question like that, your profile is so impressive, or did you actually gain these experiences and things? I usually get good responses on that.
Yeah, awesome. So, what are your social media What are your social media plans? I think a lot of employers and recruiters just they do kind of a poor job at social media overall. But it's great for branding. You get some traffic out of it. It's really great for sourcing, particularly Twitter profiles and even Instagram profiles. I mean, it's simple Boolean search will uncover some talent out there. So, any plans of doing some of that, or what else is on your plate?
Yeah, so right now we're just working with LinkedIn and Facebook primarily. So we just got a Canva account. Have you heard of Canva?
I just did a webinar with them.
Yes. Okay. So we just got Canva, which is great because we were just having trouble, obviously, finding images and getting some branded materials. So we just got an account for that, which has been great. So we've just gotten better in terms of creating more of a content calendar for ourselves, different things we're talking about each month, like safety and...
Oh, wait a second. You said Canva, right? Not Canvas. I was thinking Canvas. I just webinar with Canvas, which is a text recruiting tool, but Canva is what, Claire? Tell the audience what Canva is.
Yeah, Canva.com. It's like Canvas without the S. And it's basically like a kind of like a graphic design site, but really easy. So our corporate was nice enough to upload like our branding colors and all of our logos. And then you can just select different templates, whether you want to do a flyer, a LinkedIn post or a Twitter post. It'll like recrop it to the right number of pixels. It'll just give you some backgrounds and graphics. You don't have to worry about pulling stuff off Google and copyright issues and stuff. And you can plop in your logo. So it's just been really nice to have some things like that we can make some creations from.
Yeah,
I guess it's like an easier version of like Adobe.
It's like an online version of Photoshop that really anybody can kind of create some decent looking designs on there. There's a bunch of templates up there.
Yeah, they look professionally done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Check out.
So that's been great.
Check out Legend, which is an app. It takes It's legend.im is the URL, and it's free, and it takes 100 characters of text, turns into a moving video essentially. So it's like a visual, it's like a video tweet. So
very cool.
Yeah, you may find that useful as well. Awesome. Anything else you wanted to mention there?
Yeah, so I was just going to say we really just developed a content calendar. We're getting more consistent on our posts and creating more blog content and also introducing videos. So I looked at the other staffing agencies in our area. No one else was really doing video on their social media pages yet. So we just started today, actually, our Remedy Team Thursday. So we're going to do a Meet the Team kind of video to eventually feature all of our recruiters in our offices and really just have more of a presence. Our Facebook has been growing. But there's just some extra things we could do. We have like business cards now, we hand out in the office, encouraging people to check in and follow us. So just using those tools better to just help us instead of just sit there.
You mentioned Facebook. Are you using the Facebook job board at all specifically to collect candidates? If so, how's that working for you?
So our CRM tool will like automatically post jobs based on location to our Facebook pages. Mm-hmm. So for each individual post, you do have to turn on that job to send it to the Facebook job board.
Right.
So it only takes 2 seconds when CRM pushes them out to the page. We go through and hit, share to the job boards. And then we do have colleagues in our offices that monitor those. And if people post saying, I'm moving to this area looking for a job, we'll try and have someone respond to that. So that's something new we just started kind of looking into as well.
Yeah. When you do that, when it goes to the page and you click to kind of turn it into a job posting, does Facebook take any of that? Does it kind of pre-fill anything in for you at all, like a job title, or do you have to basically copy and paste everything again?
In my experience from like the automated CRM feed, turning that into something on the job board, it feeds most of it over pretty well.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if it did or not. So that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
If another quick tip on there is just to, get a tool like Whip Clip Drop, and it actually will let you export your candidates off of Facebook into a CSV file. So it makes it easier to get the data out of there, because you can't export anything now off Facebook jobs in terms of the candidates you get. So the tool like that, Whip Clip Drop, will let you do that with ease.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're kind of winding things down here, Claire, but any last words of advice out there? I mean, what would you tell prospective people who want to be a recruiter, or any tips or techniques out there you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so in terms of tips for being a recruiter, I guess it's just being really open-minded to what the experiences are going to be like. It was definitely a challenge for me to learn the business and have 30 different clients with all different processes and needs of level of communication and things like that. So it's just being really flexible, open-minded. And I think what works best for me as a recruiter is to treat each of my candidates and clients with that level that they expect. So I don't usually use templates. Everything's kind of customized to them and their needs to get the most engagement and efficiency out of the process. So just being flexible, listening, really getting to know your clients and candidates. And personally, I think having an HR background helps. Most of the people that I'm sending my candidates into need some sort of HR knowledge. They either don't have any, or sometimes when it is an HR person, they know that I've been in their job and I understand kind of what they're going through and how hectic things are and why they need my help. So it's nice to have that background to share as well. Awesome.
Well, we appreciate the time today, Claire. Thanks for the tips and stories. Tell everyone how to connect with you personally, and also how to follow Remedy Intelligent Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love to connect on LinkedIn. So I'm just at linkedin.com/in/Claire Petrie. I also love Twitter for networking and professional development. There's a great community of HR and recruiting posts there. My Twitter is _STR Claire. And then in terms of our LinkedIn pages, we have 5. We did them regionally. So if you just connect with me, I follow the pages, but we have Remedy Intelligence Staffing, Central New York, Western New York. So it's really easy to search and follow along and seeing those new efforts that we're rolling out.
Awesome. Well, we will follow you and link to you in the show notes. Claire Petrie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, that will do it for this edition of the RecTech podcast. Thanks again to our sponsors, HiredTool and Rejobify. Subscribe to this show wherever you get your podcast. And by the way, we're now on Spotify and also YouTube as well. If you search on RecTech on YouTube, you should find us there. If you're an iTunes subscriber, leave a review and I'll thank you on air. Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, always be recruiting.
Another episode of RecTech is in the books. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Russell or visit rectechmedia.com, where you can find the audio and links for this show on our blog. RecTech Media helps both HR tech firms and employers to get more clients or candidates through our consulting practice and online tools. So be sure to check out our sites like recruiting headlines, job fairing, and more to stay up to date on what's happening in recruiting. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of RecTech, the Recruiting Technology Podcast.